sex, the breakfast of champions. In this particular case, it worked out.
The win in Canada gives Hunt 9 vital points, and in the next race, he remains on form. He storms through to another victory and takes the podium. But Lauda is still ahead by 3 points. After 10 months and 15 races, the championship has come down to the very last Grand Prix. For the first time ever, the final race is in Japan. Excitement about the season has reached fever pitch. Only 3 points separate Hunt and Lauda. This will be the first race ever to be broadcast live by satellite across the world.
Determined to win it, so in order to do that, the best way for me to do it is to win the race here.
But on race day, the weather threatens to bring the season to a premature end.
It couldn't be worse at the Fuji circuit. Pouring rain, thick mist, and it's a delayed start. So, is the Japanese Grand Prix on or off?
All the drivers got together and said, this is ridiculous. And not only was Niki Lauda saying that, James Hunt also said, this race should not take place.
Getting nice and wet again.
James and Nicky were both on the driver safety committee, so they were in the tower arguing that the race shouldn't be held. So we had this direct confrontation. But I was saying to him, you know, we don't race, James. You can't win the world championship. Oh no, chap, we can't race. You know, it's too dangerous. So all very above board, but a bit irritating when you're trying to win the world championship, and you can't obviously if you don't race.
The race has now been delayed for nearly 2 hours. The rain continues to fall, but the race organizers have reached a decision.
And at 4, then the race director came in and said, we have to start. And we all looked out and said, excuse me, it's the same rain as before. Why? Because of television.
In 2 hours will be too dark, and we have the satellite TV that costs a lot of money, and we have a contract with the organizer to at least start the race. Otherwise, we all lose money. The teams, the drivers, I lose the money if we don't at least start the race.
But the race is on. James Hunt, it is McLaren, getting ready for a lap of the circuit. And next, out comes Niki Lauda to join the grid with the rest of the competitors.
The drivers have been forced onto the starting grid by the demands of the vast TV audience they have created.
This then is the clincher, the World Championship decider. 3 points separate the leader, Niki Lauda in the Ferrari, and Britain's James Hunt in the McLaren. It's going to be a fantastic race.
In Britain, it's 3 in the morning. Hunt's parents and friends are watching the live satellite broadcast in a TV studio. But his sister, Sally, is at home, glued to the radio.
We switched on the radio very early in the morning, and I can remember walking around the house with the radio clamped to my ear. The tension was just amazing.
And who is going to reach the corner first? The flag is down. Flag is down, and Hunt's edging closely ahead. Front racers side by side. And it's James Hunt who takes the lead in the Japanese Grand Prix. And 5th, or 6th, is Niki Lauda. Hunt with close of the race, flying up from that Marlboro McLaren.
Hunt takes the lead, but for the other drivers following, the water spray is dangerously reducing visibility to almost 0. And all the cars are skidding and sliding in the heavy rain.
Van Villen's going through, and Hunt has let Van Villen. No, he hasn't let him pass. Side by side, Van Villen up, and Van Villen spins! And he missed Hunt by inches. This is what... And Niki Lauda has pulled into the pits in front of us. Niki Lauda, the world champion, has pulled into the pits.
Niki stop, because, you know, it's too dangerous, I stop.
Yes, this amazing 1976 World Championship Series is maintaining its drama because Niki Lauda, leading the World Championship, is out of the race. But, amazingly enough, there's nothing wrong with his car.
I tell him, Niki, what we have to say that you have a technical failure or something? No, he said to me, tell them that it is too dangerous to race.
When you are a normal racing driver and not affected by an accident, you have reserves. So that means your level of risk-taking is higher than you, like in my case, you just come out of death and had everything happening to you. And then a couple of races later, you have to face this more difficult situation with the water and rain and risk going up. And at that time, I was not prepared to take this extra risk because of the accident.
And emotionally, for me, it was impossible to tell Nicky, you know, to go back to race, because you see his eyes was really terrorized.
Lauda is out of the race, but he will still become world champion if Hunt fails to score enough points.
And then the rain stopped and the water disappeared on the circuit, and the circuit got better by coincidence, basically. And but I was not racing, and I still would do the same today.
Hunt must finish third or higher to take the championship. But as the track dries out, his wet weather tyres begin to overheat.
One of the techniques you could do is cool them down by running in puddles deliberately on the straights. So we put this sign out, cool tyres. But James refused to acknowledge or do this. Cool the tyres! Cool the tyres! And he's down the middle of the road, oblivious. Eventually, he wore all the rubber off them, all the canvas, down to the air, and he had 2 flat tyres.
And with 5 laps to go, he came into the pits. We thought that perhaps it was all going to go wrong for James.
And Hunt is in the pits in second place. And if he drops below 4th, if he goes out, his world championship is going to be in danger. What an incredible change of fortune.
Because he had 2 flat tyres, we couldn't jack the car up very well. So the car was too low to get the jack underneath. So a mechanic and I had to pick up the left front of the car. So it took us like 24 seconds or something to change the tyres.
And James Hunt gets away. Now he is in 5th position and out of the contention.
With the championship seemingly beyond his grasp, Hunt the sportsman throws caution to the wind and makes his charge for the finish.
And James Hunt is passing Jones. Hunt is 4th, and Regazzoni is out of the race. So now Hunt moves up to 3rd position. And James Hunt is going to win the World Championship if he just keeps going in the place he's in now. And he does it.
James Hunt finishes 3rd. James Hunt is champion of the world.
And we were all whizzing about, sort of cheering and excited because James was now world champion.
I think the scenes in the McLaren pits will speak for themselves.
But right now, Hunt himself has no idea the championship is his.
James Hunt came into the pits in a rage. And as the McLaren team gathered round, James got out of the car, pulled off his crash helmet, started to rant and rave at them. And Teddy Mayer was holding up 3 fingers saying, "James, you're 3rd, you're champion." And gradually, the penny dropped. It was an extraordinary moment.
There was a lot of excitement and does he know yet, and is it true? And then suddenly it was true, and he was world champion.
Hunt has won despite ignoring team orders.
I was not best pleased with him. You won't see me in any of the photographs, so I'm nowhere near him, because I just want to punch him in the mouth. Even though he is the world champion.
Yeah, well, you know, I feel really sorry for Nicky, in that I feel sorry for everybody that the race had to be run in such ridiculous circumstances. And quite honestly, you know, I wanted to win the championship, and I felt that I deserved to win the championship. I also felt that Nicky deserved to win the championship, and I just wish we could have shared it.
I said at the same time, at the time there, if anybody should get a championship, then I'm happy it's James, yeah, because I liked him, and we were not bodies, but we were at least sympathetic. So I think we took care of each other from the heart in a very nice way, which in these days the heart was never shown in Formula One.
Hunt, who came into Heathrow early today, said, "I don't think I've stopped celebrating since the race."
Well, we met James coming home. There was James looking slightly dazed, was probably say completely out of it. He'd drunk quite a lot on the way home.
Very tired and somewhat hungover, thank you very much.
What was the party like?
It was long, but good.
And then we all went off to a party. And I have to say my memory is a bit hazy after that, because I think I drank more champagne for breakfast than I ever had before.
Hunt and Lauda would never have such a close race again. But the legacy of the first superstars of Grand Prix helped shape Formula One into the global TV sport it is today.
The excitement of that season meant that no self-respecting country could allow its television service not to cover Formula One properly. So suddenly Formula One was available everywhere.
We had James and Nicky coming out of this as these two titans of their time. Who could have predicted that? It was just the most amazing season.
In life you need a certain amount of luck, but now the question is how much luck you need. I think the luck is the minimum. I think human beings can do much more for themselves than they think.
We have to remember only the good things, and it was a good fight.
I don't think I thought of him as my little brother then, although that's what he was, but I just thought, no, it's James who my love and my friend, and he's achieved what he wants to achieve. And that was very exciting.
How do you want to do it? Do you want to go at a steady pace for 70 years, or do you want to go flat out for 10 years and then relax? And I rather like doing it that way.
At the time, we said if you wrote this as a film script, people will say that's ridiculous. You've got to have something believable. You can't have this farcical story. But the farcical story is true.
In the 60s and early 70s, Grand Prix would have gone out of control. And for some drivers, including Sir Jackie Stewart, enough was enough. BBC 4 now recalls those killer years. But next on BBC 2, meet Baldrick, new Member of Parliament. It's Blackadder.